Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So we know that this week marked the 49th anniversary of the assassination of Fred Hampton. And what I want to do is I want to talk about 7 lessons that we can learn from the life and death of Fred Hampton. For those of you who don't know, Fred Hampton was a Black Panther leader in Chicago, Illinois. He was one of the greatest leaders that we've had, one of the most charismatic leaders in the Black Panther Party. So let's go through 7 things that we can learn from the life and death of Fred Hampton. Number one, we can learn what sacrifice, commitment, and dedication looks like. This brother sacrificed his life for the people. He literally died for the people. This brother's life was for the people. Not only did this brother talk against racism, this brother actually put his body on the front lines for his people. He fought to protect black people by teaching black people about self-defense. This brother created survival programs in Chicago, Illinois, breakfast programs to feed the poor children in the community. This brother didn't talk about the need to address poverty. This brother actually tried to address the issue of poverty in the black community. This brother tried to address the issue of police brutality in the black community. So that's the first lesson that we can learn about sacrifice, commitment, and dedication. The second lesson that we can learn is this: we have to be motivated by love and not hatred. Often a lot of these people that profess to be pro-black, a lot of them are hateful people that hate non-black people. Anybody that's not black, they have this hatred towards them, and they use these slurs and all that kind of stuff. That's not what the brother Fred Hampton was about. He said you don't fight racism with racism. You fight it with solidarity. And that brings me to the third point. The third lesson that we can learn from the brother Fred Hampton, and that's the importance of coalitions. This brother worked with people of many different backgrounds, with white people, with Latino people, with Asian people, with working people, with poor people, with people from different classes, because he understood the nature of the system. He understood that there was a 1% that rules over the 99%, that rules through division, dividing people up along racial lines and other lines. So this brother understood the importance of coalitions, the importance of building solidarity so that the oppressed people of the United States and of the world can unite against their common oppressor. So that's the third lesson that we can learn from the brothers Fred Hampton's life and death. The fourth lesson is this: capitalism is not the answer. This brother stood up against this capitalist system. Unlike a lot of these people who profess to be black, that are all about promoting black capitalism, that are all about trying to basically get their piece of this American corrupted pie. This brother was talking about creating a new, fundamentally different system. Getting rid of this capitalist system that oppresses the working people. So that's one thing that we can learn. Black capitalism is not the answer to our problems. If black capitalism was the answer to our problems, a right-wing reactionary like a Richard Nixon would not promote that concept. And that's what he did. He promoted this idea of black capitalism as some kind of solution. And I could do a whole video on that alone. And I may do just that. The fifth lesson that we can learn from this brother's life is about the treacherous nature of the U.S. government. We know that this brother, Fred Hampton, was a victim of the United States counterintelligence program. They infiltrated the Black Panthers. They destroyed the Black Panthers. They discredited them. They locked up a lot of their leaders, and they assassinated many of the leaders of the Black Panther Party, like this brother, Fred Hampton. This whole thing was engineered by the FBI. There's a plan, as you all know, called the Cointelpro program, and it's well documented. Anybody can research this, where they actually declared war on black organizations. They wanted to prevent the rise of a black messiah. So they went about destroying black organizations and black leaders. And this brother, Fred Hampton, was one of those leaders. His brother was killed in his home in the middle of the night, gunned down. They shot up his house, shooting him multiple times. The brother bled out. He was on the floor in his underwear, bleeding out. That's how that brother spent the last moments of his life. The other thing that we can learn from this whole situation, and this is number 6, is about agents in our community. About these collaborators that work with our enemies to destroy our movement and to destroy our people. In this case of this brother, Fred Hampton, somebody that was in charge of his security was actually an FBI informant. Somebody that basically turned into a rat for the FBI. Somebody that faced some charges or whatever, and to avoid going to jail, getting locked up, this guy agreed to cooperate with the police. This man provided the police with a floor plan of Fred Hampton's apartment, and the police used that plan to gun that brother Fred Hampton down. And this was a black man, who was an agent, who gave this information to these police and who was reporting to the police about everything that the Chicago Black Panther Party was doing. So we have to learn that lesson, to learn about these agents and learn to be on guard against agents that try to infiltrate our movements, that try to infiltrate, even the discussion boards that we have here on YouTube, man. And this man's name, his last name is O'Neal. I don't want to mess up his first name. I can't remember if it was his first name, but his last name was O'Neal. This man gave the information to the FBI. So we can learn about that, to be on guard against these agents that try to infiltrate our movements and try to destroy our movements. Number 7 is this. This brother talked about how there were black pigs and white pigs. Talking about how there were black people that participated in the oppression of their own people. Black people, for instance, that engage in police brutality. And if you take it on an even larger level, you have black people who are happy to be the puppets of white supremacy, to be the puppets of, neo-colonialism used against their own people. So those are the 7 lessons that we can learn from the brother Fred Hampton's life and death. Tell me what you think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.